Howdy. Today we're going to be looking at Hero Box 1 for Zombicide Black Plague. Go ahead and get this box open. When you open up the box, you get to see, well, before you open the box, you get to see this comes with 5 survivors. And what that includes is cards for all the survivors, which we'll go over in a minute, and an extra starting short sword and an extra starting hammer. This lets you expand the game to 8 players. So if you're wanting to play with more friends than you can out of the box, you should probably pick this up. Alright, now I'm going to go through the 5 heroes that come in this box and my opinions on them. So if I think something's super cool, I'll let you know. Now, if I say this hero's kind of or I don't really like him, and you disagree, or I think somebody's awesome and you do not think they're very awesome, then please tell me and we can get some conversation going on why we disagree, and maybe you can bring me around and I'll love that character. Alright, so the first one we're going to look at is Glinda. And if you look at her, her extra slot can hold a hammer. This is really cool if she wants to dual wield short swords but still be able to kill fatties. Her first ability is Tough. I think Tough is an amazing ability because it lets you ignore 1 wound from a single zombie each zombie phase. So if you're in the square with an abomination, you're tanking for your buddies, and he hits you, you can say, you know what, that really didn't hurt that bad, it doesn't count. And you might be thinking, well, abominations don't care about armor. You're correct, they don't care about armor. But this isn't armor. This is a special ability that says you ignore a wound. So that abomination slaps you, and you say, you know, that's not that bad. Alright. +1 action, yellow, it's pretty basic. Everybody seems to get that. +1 free move action, that's okay. But now look, she can get Ironhide in addition to her Tough. So she's always rolling to ignore wounds from basic zombies. And if one happens to get through, she's Tough. She can ignore the first one she takes each zombie turn. That's pretty awesome. An important fact, she gets to +1 damage melee in the red zone. So that's going to help you when you just need to punch a zombie because you can't find the fire. Sorry, punch an abomination. Or she can take free 1 combat action, +1 to dice roll. Anybody that can get to 3 damage, I think you always make that as a choice. Again, maybe you disagree with that, but I think it would have to be some really rare opportunity for me to take +1 free combat action. The +1 to dice roll is pretty nice if she's not the one that you're depending on to kill abominations. But odds are you would usually take the +1 damage. Alright, let's get this off so we can look at the characters. So let's look at her. She's pretty cool. I like this big spiky mallet. I don't have a lot negative to say about this. I like her. She's a pretty cool looking model. And I think all these models are fairly decent looking. Cool Mini or not, just does a great job. Alright, the next character we're going to be looking at is Sylvia. She has Taunt, and she can hold an axe in her extra slot. That extra slot having an axe is amazing. Maybe you got some cool stuff for killing zombies in your left hand and your right hand, but that axe is there to always open that door or that vault door when you need it and never having to roll. There's times when I tried to open a door and it took me 4 or 5 attempts to get the door open. That's just sad, and it wastes so many turns, especially if someone's chasing you. Alright, let's go into Taunt. Taunt. What this does is you get to pick a square that's valid that you can see. All the zombies in that square get an extra activation and they move towards you. And this is situational, but I really like characters that have some utility. Granted, she's not in my list, but it was a big debate whether I should take her or not. But Taunt is just amazing. So Abomination's about to eat your friends, or your friends are surrounded, they can't get out of a cell because there are too many zombies there. You activate her first, you taunt them towards you, they leave your buddies alone, and now your buddies can get away. If there's an abomination chasing down your buddies, but your buddies kind of need to be where they're at, they can stay there. You can taunt it, the abomination gets his turn, he walks towards them. Then you taunt it again, it comes back to her. It's really awesome. She can get Sword Master, which is pretty cool. Gives everything the dual wield icon. I don't know what melee weapons offhand don't have that. But the Great Sword's an example. She could dual wield 2 Great Swords, and that would be pretty awesome. Reaper melee. If you kill a zombie, you get to kill an extra zombie. You can only use that once per activation. What it actually does is, if you kill something, let's say you make an attack and you killed a walker and you killed a runner, you get to pick either walker or runner and kill an extra. This is once per action, so you only get to kill 1 extra thing per turn, and there has to be one of a matching type for you to use it. But Reaper is a skill I really think is interesting. All right, at the red level, she gets +1 combat, +1 free combat, +1 to combat die, that's pretty powerful. +1 free combat action, that's powerful. +1 to dice roll combat. So in the red level, she becomes really skilled at killing things. She doesn't have that 3 damage though. All right, let's look at her up close. See if I can get it to focus there. Yeah, she's got a sword and an axe in one hand. It just looks pretty awesome. She's ready to slay zombies. All right, the next character we're looking at is Julian. He can hold a dagger in his extra slot. Okay, let's look at his abilities. Hold your nose. How this works is if you kill a zombie, you get a free search that turn in that square. This does count against your 1 search per turn limit. But getting a free search for killing a zombie is pretty cool. The other cool part about this is it can occur in a street. It can occur in a vault. Places that normally can't be searched, you're allowed to search there. Where me and my friends hit some debate is, let's say there are 3 zombies in your square and you manage to kill 2 of them. Do you get that bonus search this turn or do you not? Because it states that you get a free search action. But I think you're too busy to do that search, because it doesn't say you get to do it if there are zombies in your square. It just says you get to search for free. And it ignores the when in building component of search. So I believe with this card, if there are 3 zombies and you killed 2 of them, you don't actually get to do that search because you're preoccupied trying to live. I really like that he gets to +1 damage in the orange range. Few characters get that. And that gives you the ability to deal with abominations in the orange threat level, which isn't that bad to get to. Now, if you're playing with zombie bosses, which I went over in a different video, I think the +1 damage melee is very vital to being able to survive the game. He has hit and run. This is a really awesome ability. If you're in a cell with zombies and you kill one, you get to move away for free, and it only costs, and you don't have to pay extra activations to use it. So if you're in a cell with 10 walkers and you kill a zombie, for free you get to move out of that square without paying, what, if there are 10 and there were 9 left, it would cost you 10 to get out. You get to leave that square for free. That's really awesome, because at the end of the game you get surrounded. All right, at his final level he gets +1 free combat action, jump or Reaper combat. Reaper combat is Reaper with any combat, not just melee, and we've already went over what Reaper does. We have not went over what jump does, and I don't remember offhand what jump does, so I'm gonna have to look that one up. Jump. The survivor can use this skill once during each activation. The survivor spends 1 action, he moves 2 zones, which he has line of sight on, so you can't use it to go around a corner, because that's not a jump. You're not doing some sort of weird Spider-Man move. What you're doing is leaping forward. Like +1 zone per move action or slippery are ignored. Movement penalties like having zombies in the starting zone apply, ignoring everything in the intervening zone. This is cool because if an abomination's coming at you and you need to be on the other side of it, or you got a horde of zombies between you and you want to cross over them, jump, you actually jump over that intermediate zone. You don't actually land in that square, so it's not like you're moving through it. You leap over it, so you don't have to pay extra actions for moving through that square. So jump is pretty cool. +1 free combat action, we all know what that means. Let's look at the model. He kind of feels like an assassin. He's got these dual wielding, looks like short blades or even long daggers, and he's got a cloak. He just looks pretty cool. Like maybe he was the master of a thieves' den before all these zombies came. All right, Tucker. And, okay, this guy's named Tucker. He's got the shove ability and he can hold an axe. We've already talked about why an axe is cool in the equipment slot. So he's got shove. How this works is you can take all the zombies that are in your square and push them one square away into a zone that you have line of sight on. I do not believe you can't push them through closed doors. You can't push them through ramparts or walls, but you can shove them in or out of a vault. So you get to take all the zombies and move them one away from you in a square that's valid to walk to, that you can see. That's pretty awesome because right after you shove, you can run. And you might have to if you had an abomination and lots of other stuff on you and you really need to get away, or you're surrounded by fatties and you can't do 2 damage. This is just really cool. +1 action. He's got Lucky. Lucky's really cool because it lets you reroll stuff. I'll let you know exactly what it can reroll. So Lucky, the survivor can reroll once all the dice for each action he takes. So every time you take an action, if you're unhappy, if it's an armor roll or if it's an attack, you get to re-roll it, but you have to keep the new result. That's pretty awesome. And it's allowed to stack with other abilities. Like if he's using a bow and he's got plenty of arrows, he could re-roll it with plenty of arrows. Then you're like, man, that's still garbage. You could re-roll it again with Lucky. Lucky is a powerful ability. In the red zone, he gets +1 die for combat. That's pretty cool. +1 free combat action, free reload. Now, free reload, Lucky, quiver of arrows with an orcish crossbow. Wow. He would be dropping a lot of monsters every turn. So, this guy's really awesome, especially for the utility of shove. His model, he's got an axe on his back, which is pretty cool. And he's holding this fairly large crossbow in his hands. Again, cool mini or not models are pretty cool. All right, now we're gonna look at the final guy I have for us tonight, and his name is Arnude, maybe? I always mispronounce his name. Luckily, I'm not playing him in my squad anymore, so yeah, I won't have to hear me butcher his name all the time. The cool part about him is in his equipment slot, he gets to carry a torch. So now he doesn't have to decide, should I be dual wielding weapons this turn or should I hold this torch? So he can always search for 2 once he finally finds that torch. And that's pretty awesome. His blue is +1 free search action. That's pretty awesome. But sometimes you're surrounded by zombies or you're in the streets, so you do not always get to use this ability. I prefer if I'm going to get plus extra action of some sort that it either be combat or movement. Like Nelly, I use her +1 movement all the time. But +1 free search action is very situational. When you're running from zombies and you're in the streets, you're not going to find anything in the streets. All right, +1 action, and then let's see, he can get to +1 die melee. That's pretty awesome. Or a free move. These are pretty standard things. I don't think they're amazing. Free combat action, Ironhide, Reaper combat. I like this guy, but I think it would be cooler instead of giving him a free search action if they started him with a torch. I think that would be much bigger than that very situational +1 search action. All right, so I would have to say he's my least favorite in this box. Let's look at him. But his model's pretty cool. He's holding a torch and a sword, so if he's walking down a tunnel, it's like he's walking down a dark tunnel with a torch in front of his face, hoping he doesn't see zombies, but he's got that sword pulled back just in case. All right, that covers Hero Box 1. I think Hero Box 1 is a good buy, especially if you want more players.